So, online gig work is transforming the way employers engage with talent, and governments in a growing number of countries are harnessing the online gig economy to help create jobs and source talent. Malaysia is one such country. It started its e-Rezeki program in 2015 to provide online gig work for disadvantaged people. Mahadhir, why did Malaysia start this program? Why online gig work?
Well, good question. I think MDEC, or Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, started out being the agency of the government to provide transformation towards digital. So, what would become, I think, apparent in the beginning was to provide access, to provide the kind of skill set and also literacy for the citizens of Malaysia to be able to use digital technologies and using many of the tools that are available online. So what best way to actually encourage them to go that way by better than opening up ways for them to actually gain extra income. So the word e-rezeki is loosely translated as e-income, if you may, in English. So we targeted the low income group that are looking for new things to do, and at the same time trying to upskill and reskill themselves to be digitally literate in many ways. So the kind of work that we started out back in 2015 was very much on data entry, some fact checking, translation, and these are all being done online, and mostly the jobs are coming from within the borders of Malaysia. However, I think based on that same model, we actually expanded to what we call the global online workforce, or GLOW for short, GLOW, where we connect this to the likes of I think crowdsourcing platforms like freelancers and things like that, where now the kind of jobs that are available for them is much bigger than what it is, because I can do work, even listening to Steve, I can do actually work for NASA from right in my bedroom. So these are the kinds of things, we haven't reached there yet, but we're heading there. These are the kind of things that we provide to this community. And more than 50% of the participants, or the gig workers that participate in online gig work, I can happily report that more than 50% are actually women. So it creates a new branch of equity and equality in participation in the new digital economy. It creates opportunities for the low income, and we continue to actually expand this even more, looking at other aspects that we'll touch in a few bit. But generally, it is, I think, imperative for a developing economy like Malaysia to be able to do this and get the people to be on board and not be left behind by the transition towards digital.
Indeed. So that's what your government is doing. And we're seeing also private businesses of all sizes also increasingly employing online gig workers. Mahadhir, what is the Malaysian government doing to help gig workers on this front to get some social protection?
Um, let's contextualize that question, Jack. I think the beauty of the experience in Malaysia was that I think the industry and the country itself got disrupted quite early by the gig economy. We started out with what used to be called My Taxi and eventually became Grab. Today, throughout and within the area of e-hailing and mobility and taxi and the likes. So social protection became one of the issue, licensing of the drivers and also the support for the actual gig workers to own the vehicles themselves to be able to perform the gig work became something that is needed almost immediately as we embark towards this is beyond all the global online workforce that we mentioned. So the government took notice of that very early, and we have worked with a lot of players. We have Grab, obviously, we have Food Panda and the likes. to be able to do this. So where MDEC came in, we have today validated more than 120 online platforms to work with the government side by side to look at other issues besides the reskilling and upskilling. This is about social protection and also career pathing and growth for the particular gig workers. They might stay within a period of 3 to 4 months working as a driver or as a delivery and delivery workers. And from that point on, they need to be able to educate themselves and move up into possibly formal employment. So we provide those kind of support through the government programs in terms of training, the reskilling and upskilling programs. And on top of all this, I think the private sector and the private platforms are also investing in their own workers themselves to upskill themselves. And lastly, from a government's point of view, because we believe that this is a very, very critical part of employment and also the economy, is to recognize within the Ministry of Human Resources the type of work and the type of interventions, further interventions that is needed to help them prosper and grow through this. The establishment of the Sharing Economy Committee was part of the Digital Economy Council, was done last year, and it reports. I do co-chair the Sharing Economy Committee, and we do report directly to the Prime Minister as chair of the Digital Economy Council, that looks at 4 areas today: the standards, the metrics, the data, policy and regulations, the trusted platforms, and also the aspects of education and growth of the gig workers themselves. So again, I think the commitment by the Malaysian government is heavily structured, and we are getting all the inputs and also improving ways for us to manage this new and disruptive type of work that is obviously flexible, but yet comes with peril, as you mentioned.
So we have two questions on AI, artificial intelligence. The first is from Ava Kusan. In developing regions, Ava asks, we are just emerging into the digital age with the use of internet and digital services, but now we're faced with disruptive technologies like AI, and it feels like we're lagging. How can we close the gap on this so we can participate meaningfully and confidently in online gigs worldwide without being overwhelmed? Briefly, Mahadhir, what do you think?
Well, it fits right within the mandate that MDEC does. We look at bringing everyone up to speed with new things. So AI and generative AI actually is something that we are looking at very seriously, both from demand side, i.e. the application of AI in some of these areas that we can look at. Particularly with Malaysia, there's a couple of, I think, tentpole projects or reports that have come out. One is the National Blockchain and AI Committee that has been set up, looking at implementing a roadmap of building a skill set, looking at some of these areas of developing more supplies, and then supplies as in the talents and also the companies, and looking at application and possibly in areas of education and other areas in combination with existing technology like blockchain. However, there's also another report that will be published on Friday next week, very much on the economic impact of generative AI, that I'm very much looking forward to it, and would see how we can actually do that and demystify, if anything. Because the fear of AI right now is about it's taking over the jobs of the people that we see today, it's going to change this and that. I believe positively that that would be something like digital is something that you can translate, demystify, and start getting people on board as soon as they can.
Exactly as you said, Mahadhir, people are concerned about what AI means for their job. Very quickly, Mahadhir, your thoughts in about a minute or so. The Malaysian government offers training to its citizens, doesn't it?
Yes, very widely across many disciplines and new technologies as well. I think we have a program that we do among other agencies called Saya Digital, i.e. I'm Digital. So those kind of trainings would provide basic literacy in digital and tools. But at the same time, just to answer about access to technology, our sister agency looks at programs that looks at hard infrastructure or communication, whether it's towers, broadband, or even latest being satellite internet. So this would cover areas where they are not, they are having problems accessing technology to begin with, and we come in to provide the content, i.e. the training and the upskilling, to be able to take them to the next levels.